week. So this is always fun to have everybody together to talk. And this week we have Audrey Harrison, Lexi Post, and E.L. Johnson with us. Ladies, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
Sky Purrington also has a release this week, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get through all the other books. But I thought we could start this week in the order of release. And Erin, your book releases first, and it's The Lion in the Blue Stocking. I love the cover for this one. Lion's Den book. Can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Sure. Thank you. Let's see. So this is a novella, so it's not a full-length novel, but this is my attempt to write historical romance. I normally write historical mysteries, and so this is kind of like a new path for me, I would say. I couldn't help but put a little dash of mystery in there, so it's a tiny little mini mystery for the main characters to solve together. But I think that's good because it forces them to work together and deal with some interesting characters. But basically, it's about a blue stocking, which I wanted to kind of explore a little bit. This idea of a girl who is, raised to like she learns languages and she reads the paper and she's not so interested in ladies like fashion magazines, but she's more intellectually inclined, let's say, and she says the wrong thing in every social situation she's in. Whereas like, how many times is it that you're at a cocktail party or a party or wherever, and you want to talk about the research you've done or something that really excites you as a geek, a nerd, and you see the people's eyes just glaze over in boredom. And that is this character, Elizabeth Denham. That is her world, and she doesn't know quite what to do. She always gets it wrong no matter what. And her mother is despairing of her situation. She's like, what can I do with this blue stocking daughter who she cannot get it right? And she's getting a bit old. She's going to be on the shelf soon, and there's no reason why, because she's pretty enough. The family's wealthy. They're in trade, but they've done very well. And so the mother decides, all right, I'm going to introduce my daughter to maybe some more disreputable characters, or some people who aren't quite as like picky or particular about their marriage prospects and partners. And so they visit the Lion's Den, which is where things happen. So I will leave it there. But yeah, it's good fun. It's a really fun time for me to explore this world and try out different things with these characters. And it was really fun to write. So I hope you
So
guys
you
read.
like writing historical romance? That was
Mm.
a fun adventure for you.
It was. There, I had to include a sex scene, which always makes me cringe inside because I'm like, oh God. But that too was entertaining. So my editor said it's fine. So we'll go with that.
Oh, good. Yeah, I know we've talked several times about your historical mystery, so it's
Mhm.
nice to see you branching out. I
Yes.
always think it's cool when people try different things. So
Mm,
awesome,
definitely.
awesome.
Thank you.
But the next book that released this week is Audrey Harrison's book, and it's Beguiling the Earl, and it's a mystery, romantic mystery. Book 2 in the Country House Romantic Mysteries series. Can you tell us a little bit about it, Audrey?
Yes, um, I'm almost opposite because I normally write historical romance, and this trilogy is including mysteries for a change, and so it's been a real pleasure to delve into the mystery world. It's a trilogy. This is the second book of the three. But they are all standalone. They can be read standalone. They've just got characters that reappear in each of the books, but they all get their own story. And it's another unusual trope for me because I don't normally write friends to lovers. And this it's three people. It's a brother, a sister, and a friend, and the three of them have known one another for years and years. And the friend respects the sister. She is a bit of a blue stocking, and but he treats her as an equal rather than the way women were normally treated and are disregarded in that way. And so the brother and sister have had a quite sort of loving upbringing. They're very close. The parents died, but they're being brought up by a grandmother who's again very loving and very close. But the friend Samuel, he's had a mother that we wouldn't want to have one like her. It's she's a bit loose with the morals and doesn't
Oh,
mind who knows about it.
oh
And
my.
and Samuel's grown up under that shadow, and so he's built a bit of a persona around himself for protection. I do like writing characters who are sort of on the outskirts. Again, it goes back to that sort of feeling not as if you're quite belonging. And then there's a jewel thief that they have to
Oh, cool.
find, and Samuel and Patricia team up together, much to her brother's disgust, but they go ahead and a fake engagement ensues. But let's just say it's not just ballrooms. There's pirates, ships, and all
Oh,
sorts of
cool.
things happening along the way. So it's hopefully it's a good page turner.
Oh, that sounds like it. If we're gonna get pirate ships too, that's a lot. Awesome. And there's one more book in this series.
There is, and that's with the editor now. So I think that's at the end of January. It's due out. So hopefully that'll be well received.
Oh, exciting. Exciting. And the last book to release this week is Lexi's books, and it's Revealing the Viscount, which is book 3 in Marrying the Mayberry.
Yes,
Can you
it
tell us a
is.
little bit about that one?
It's the third book. I have to take my hats off to you two ladies, because when it comes to mystery, if I watch a mystery on TV, when they show you who did it, I'm like, really? Like, totally clueless. I cannot write mystery. I cannot get. I'm always wrong. So my book, Revealing the Viscount, is not a mystery, but it is a second chance at love. We've seen the heroine Mariel through the first 2 books. She's the oldest daughter, and her fiance or betrothed actually died in a war against Napoleon. But as it turns out, in this book, he's not dead.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love it when they come back to life.
My paranormal abilities. No, he was hiding from her.
From her?
From her, yes,
Oh.
because when he was very badly wounded. When he came back, he found out she had married. She's a widow now, but obviously she didn't love him if she married so quickly. And so they have the whole first scene is her confronting him, when she finds out he's alive. And the only reason she found out about it is because his older brother died, and now he is the Viscount. And so everyone knows he's alive because he had to come and take over the estate. So a lot of angst in the beginning, but he was hiding. He had a very good reason to hide from her, which had to do with her they were very, very much in love, and her wanting a family. So it's sort of that self-sacrificing so she can be happy kind of thing. Really a hero from the war. He saw something traumatic, and it really gets in their way. But she decides that he needs. She doesn't want to go back to the season because everyone knows he's alive, and everyone's going to assume that they're back in love and betrothed and everything. And if they're not, then the town's going to pity her. And she's one of those women at the time who wanted to be everything she was supposed to be. She has 2 sisters who are not. And so she's always trying to be what, is expected of her.
Meet expectations.
Very much so. Mm-hmm. And being pitied by the ton, just is like she's going to go hide out in the country. And he comes to apologize because the first scene didn't go very well. And she twists his arm into doing a fake betrothal because he owes her. And so, he knows it's going to be torture for him because he still loves her.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, but he can't marry her. So.
It's just that he thinks he can't marry her, right?
I'm not telling.
You got to give us hope, Lexi. We got to have a little bit of hope to get through to.
There will be a happy ever after.
There we go.
And there will be a spin-off series as well.
Oh, fun. Yes. Is this the last book in this series, or are there more to come?
No, this is the last book in Marrying a Mayberry.
Okay.
But in the first book, Joanne, oh, I forgot to say this. All 3 books are inspired by Little Women. So each female
That's right. We
character,
talked about that before.
right, so we have Joanna instead of Jo, we have Amelia instead of Amy, and we have Mariel instead of Meg. And but Joanna, just like Jo, sets up a school, only instead of for boys, it's for women of the peerage. And so those will be, the next series is called Courting a Curious Lady, because the name of the school is Belinda's School for Curious Ladies. So yeah, so that's already in process.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a huge amount of fun. And then the fourth book that released this week is Sky Purrington's book, and it is The Secondhand Earl, and it's book 2 in the Second Chance Bride series. And these are like what you would assume second chance romances. So we'll talk to Sky sometime in the future and catch up with her, but I'll make sure I pop the link to that book along with the other ones in the comments so you can grab them right away for your reading pleasure. And I thought since we had a little bit of extra time, we could talk about what your reading pleasure is. Like it's finally, I'm in Virginia. I know we're kind of spread out all over the world, but it's finally starting to feel like fall here. Like this week, it's been chilly in the mornings, and I am wanting pumpkin spice everything, which is not a normal state for me. It's like I was wandering around the grocery store yesterday looking for some kind of muffiny, streusely thing. And so I was wondering if you guys have special things. I know, Lexi, you post pictures of your ice cream and your desserts every morning, which I love. And I love the I know it's going to be a great day thing. But I wondered if you guys had things that you do to kind of make time to read, make time for yourself, make time to kind of snuggle in and enjoy things. And if we could talk a little bit about that. Lexi, do you want to start?
Okay. I'm all about the pumpkin. I make my own pumpkin ice cream. Have pumpkin chai, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin ravioli, by the way. So
I love savory pumpkin. That's delicious.
Oh, yeah. I'm hooked. So I have a recliner, the same recliner I actually write in. Despite this beautiful office, I do all my writing in my recliner. I don't know why. And I always have chai or hot chocolate with me. I mean, it doesn't need to be fall. I just do it anyway. But it's when I read, it tends to be at night after everyone's gone to sleep. Mm-hmm. The cats are asleep, the husband's asleep. And it's a rarity. I will admit it's very hard when writing. Most of the time when I read, it's classic literature. I know it's kind of odd, but that's where I get all my inspiration from my books. So I tend to go back and read, I wonder if I want to do something about this, or maybe I'll read Dante's Inferno, or maybe I'll read, Don Quixote, or, it's just, it starts the creative juices going. But every once in a while I treat myself to another Regency or a Highlander or a cowboy or, something else that just kind of cleanse the palate, especially after finishing a book. It's gone to the editor. Yay. Yeah. And then it's nice to just go away. Oh no, we lost Audrey.
Hopefully she'll pop back in. Do you have a specific trope that you like to read when you're choosing? Is there something that you particularly lean towards, or a kind of hero?
I admit I kind of like a beta. I like a beta hero, not necessarily the alpha. I married a beta hero who gets alpha on occasion. But that's kind of my go-to.
They're the good guys. They're the beside me buddies. They're the ones you can count on. Yeah. Lots of love about a beta hero. Yeah.
Yes, there is. So those are kind of the ones I tend to go towards. So less motorcycle gang and more, Regency Second Son.
So what about you, Erin? I know you said you don't have a lot of time to read. Do you have you found a way to make some time for yourself?
I have to carve out time wherever I can. So I work in London, but I live in Hertfordshire. So my commute door to door in the mornings, 2 hours, and then 2 hours back. So there I grab a seat on the train and I read and the Kindle's perfect for this because otherwise I'll be carrying really thick books with me all the time. And I'm normally reading. It's a funny thing because they say read in your genre, and so I should be reading all these historical mysteries, and I love reading them once I've finished and turned in a manuscript. But while I'm writing, I don't want to be influenced and taking other people's ideas, Audrey. And so, yeah, right now I'm rereading old Nancy Drew books that I loved as a child.
Oh, wow.
I visited my folks back in August, and I saw all these old books from like the Babysitters Club that I grew up reading, and like Nancy Drew, and I was like, that must have been what turned me onto mystery as a kid.
Yeah.
And so I brought back one or two, and they're like old school covers, and I'm reading them a few pages at a time right before I go to sleep. But otherwise, I run a book club in London, and so I'm reading whatever book club's book has been chosen. So that is me, but I'm quite envious of Lexi because my God, you sound so autumnal. It's great. Yeah, amazing.
So, Audrey, what about you? Do you have any special reading kind of rituals or things that you do to carve out space for yourself?
Yes, first of all, an apology for dropping out.
That
The
happened. I'm
wilds,
just glad you came back.
yeah, the wilds of Scotland has its issues. Reading, I tend to. I love tea, black tea, and so I like snuggling down with a nice big cup of tea, and if I'm not just reading, it will be an audiobook, and then I do English paper piecing, quilting. So
fun.
it's hand sewing, so it's my relaxation basically, and so I can just sort of forget and just it's easy enough sewing. So yeah, and I just chill out. In the summer, I tend not to do that. I will find somewhere outside. I'm afraid my Irish heritage says that I go bright red in sunshine and then go back to very pale. So I tend to sit in the shade, but I've always got either a book, a Kindle, or an audio book with me. It just varies. As long as I've got something to read, that's all that matters.
I love audiobooks when I'm driving, but I also like to crochet while I listen to, I'm working on something for one of my kiddos for Christmas, and I love sitting and listening and crocheting because I don't have to pay attention with my hands. It's like it's automatic enough to do. Awesome. Are you a tea with sugar, tea with milk, or black tea?
Tea, I don't know if it's the same over there. I call it builder's tea, so it's really strong, but it's the tiniest amount of milk in it. I just can't take that step to black tea. I don't know what it is, but my daughter drinks what I call baby tea. It's half a gallon of milk in it. Just horrible.
I had a granddaughter like that, and I just like she like used the tea bag twice. It's like it's just colored water now. It's not tea.
Well, I get mine nice and dark, but I put a nice helping of milk and a lot of sugar.
I was going to say, I know you have a sweet tooth, so there must be lots of sugar in there.
Oh.
Well, ladies, when you're not reading, I'm assuming that you're writing. Do we have specific writing rituals or things that you lean into when you're writing, either from a research standpoint or for the two of you who write mysteries, like trying to keep track of plot pieces and how everything fits together? Okay, everybody's just jumping in all here at once.
I know. I was going to say, Audrey,
We're
do you
all
want to
too
go
polite.
first?
This is overwhelming.
I'm so polite.
Erin, how about you?
Okay. Let's see. So when I'm not writing or working, I'm playing in my band or I'm running book club, and that is my life. But I'd say writing rituals. I've learned over writing series for Dragonblade that I need to have like a story Bible. And so it is my go-to, especially if you're doing like a long series where I've just turned in the last book of like a 5-book series. And
So Poppy
so
was the heroine through your whole
exactly.
entire series.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll have moments where I forget what she looks like. I'll forget what, is she tall or is she average height, or what color like her romantic hero's eyes are, like, or will I have 3 characters named Jennifer in a book that's set in Georgian era London, like, and so having that story Bible where you've got the buildings, the descriptions, the settings, the clothes that the people wear on repeat, all these characters and what they look like, it is essential. Yeah. And I quite like Lexi's point about like writing in the same recliner all the time, because I've got one and I move around the house a lot. Sometimes I'm in the kitchen, sometimes I'm up in this room, the games room of all the games. I just move around, to be honest. So, and I love the idea of being that like cliched writer tapping away at your laptop in a coffee shop, but I can never justify doing it because I think people just point and laugh at me. So I don't, they just be like, oh, really? But yeah. So that's me. What about you
I get
guys?
people pointing and laughing when there were real books involved. It's like, okay, they can point and
I
laugh.
know.
But
I could just
it's a
rock
it's
up and
it's
have like
a
a
book
stack
the
of my books
the
next to
world
me and
says.
be like, I wrote these and now I'm writing the next one. Well, that's me.
Mhm. Audrey, what about you?
Normally, if I'm on the laptop, I have a bit of a ritual, which is pathetic. I check my emails and answer my emails, and then over here we have a website called Rightmove, and it shows all the houses for sale. So I have my certain areas
It's your
that
Zillow.
certain areas that I'd like to live in that I probably could never afford to, but I check what's come up for sale in the last couple of days,
I do the
and
same
then
thing.
and then I go into the whatever I'm writing. Now, I I have been, until working with Dragonblade, a complete pantster. It was literally no plotting, no nothing, but with the mysteries, I've had to keep track. So I've got a notebook at my side, and that gets scribbled in. But I've also discovered I've got chronic health conditions, so sometimes I can't physically sit in front of the laptop. But I've found this new wonderful device, and it's called a Remarkable, and it is just
I have
that.
one of those too. I
Uh,
love it.
Oh, it's just brilliant. You just write and then you tap a few buttons and it turns it all to text.
Yeah.
And then you email it to yourself and you upload it into the document. And yeah, it needs a bit of tweaking, but I've started using that as my first draft. So
Oh,
every
wow.
day,
So the whole thing longhand and then
yeah, and then I'll upload it. I mean, if there are days in between that I can sort of go into the laptop, I will do, and I'll just carry it on, because every day, at the end of every day, I email whatever I've done, so that I can just easily transfer it into the working document, if you like. So yeah, so that's so with the Remarkable, I can move around to the most comfy seat, and if it's sun shining outside, but it isn't at the moment. It's definitely with a throw and a cup of tea at my side with the Remarkable at the moment.
I love it for editing. I send finished drafts to it, and then I can, because I could never get past that paper and pencil editing, because I want to be able to scribble and cross things out and all of that kind of stuff. So I like being able to do that on there, and then I don't have to kill so many trees or keep ink in my printer, which was actually harder.
Yeah, it's been a real changer. It really has, a game changer. It's brilliant.
No, wow. So Lexi, what about you?
But the thought of handwriting a whole book just is like my worst nightmare. Only because I have what's called a Chiari malformation 1 in my brain, which makes fine motor skills really hard. And I
Oh,
could never write. I mean, in grad school, I stopped taking notes because I couldn't read my own writing. So when the computer came out, I was like, thank you, even though I don't know how to type. But it's a little easier to get closer to what I want to say and be able to read when I'm writing. So I'm a creature of habit. I've trained my brain, at certain times, usually between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, whatever I'm doing stops, laptop comes with me. I go to my recliner with my cup of chai or my cup of hot chocolate, and I sit down and I write. And I write until dinner. And it's worked really well for me, because if I'm doing something else, because I also teach college, so online. So if I'm grading or something, all of a sudden my brain just like shuts off. It's like, you're not using that side anymore. You need to go have fun. And so I was just like, okay, got to stop, because my brain is just saying, all the characters like start coming in. I'm trying to grade a sentence and they're like, come play with me. And so it's really helped me like meet word counts and meet deadlines, and to just do it the same place, same time, every day. I don't even have to have willpower to do it, and of course, but I'm in a really great situation. I mean, I have no kids at home, and my husband does everything, including cooking and cleaning and errand running and basically everything. So I have that option.
You're falling in love with a beta man. That's a good thing.
Right?
That's
Exactly.
a beta hero right there. The beside me buddy.
So, and usually my cats will then move from my office into the living room with me, and one will sleep in the end table next to me, and one will sleep on the recliner next to me. So they hang out with me.
Oh, well, that sounds lovely. I miss having a cat so much. I have such envy. Whenever an author has their cat walk across when we're recording, it's like, oh, buddies. Mavis usually at least has 1 or 2 tails that appear while we're talking. So that's wonderful. So I know you have a sweet tooth, because you post ice cream on your Facebook page, and I have such ice cream envy. How did you get started making ice cream?
When we moved to the Caribbean, I've always been an ice creamaholic. It runs in my family, my mom, my grandmother. When we moved to the Caribbean, I discovered that the ice cream that came in the grocery stores had melted, refrozen, and melted, refrozen multiple times. So when you would go to bite it, it was eating sand. Ew. And being an ice creamaholic, I had to do something. And we weren't there 2 weeks on island when we were in the hardware store and they had an ice cream maker. And I'm like, I got to do something. So I started learning how to make ice cream. And it's really fun on an island, because you've got like mangoes in your backyard and bananas in your backyard and passion fruit and star fruit and all these different things that you never think about, making an ice cream out of. I've thrown out 5 batches since 2010. Yeah. I found out why they don't sell cantaloupe ice cream. It's really disgusting.
Oh no.
But I had to try, right?
Funny though, I worked as an ice cream shop. Was my first job as a 16-year-old. It was the best job ever. So you had the cream in the sprayer. It was a wonderful job. But she made cantaloupe spice ice cream. But it was more like a chutney. It was really not the sour part of a chutney, but it was really spicy. And that, I think, maybe counteracted the cantaloupe.
It's really funny, because I don't cook. I can't cook. I haven't touched a stove in probably 20 years, except for just reset the time when the electricity goes off. And so when I make my ice cream, and it's all experimental, I have to figure out how to make that flavor without cooking something. Mm-hmm. How do I get this to work without having and I've taken things from drink mixes, alcohol drink mixes. I've taken brownie mix. I've talked to make my chocolate. I mean, trying to find that thing that will give me the flavor I'm looking for. So yeah, it's been fun. I've been doing it a long time, every weekend.
I wish I lived closer.
I love sharing my ice cream, but I can't unless somebody comes to my house. It's not like you can travel with it.
And Erin made the best face when you said about the ice cream being like sand. So I imagine that she would like the good stuff quite a lot. So.
We'll come visit.
Yes.
Hey, Lexi, give us ice cream. We'll try
I have a guest cottage. Come on over.
Ice cream and books. I like not
There
a
we
lot
go.
better than that. So.
Mhm. I like it.
Well, ladies, it was delightful to talk to you today. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm excited about the new directions, and I'm excited that we have both romance and mystery and romantic mystery. That's all the bases are covered. So I'll make sure I pop the links for all the books in the comments. So if you haven't got them already, you can grab them. You want to get your Dragonblade books on pre-order and release. It's when they're the very best deal. And if you don't manage to get them then you can always read them Kindle Unlimited, which means you can just read whatever you want. You don't have to think about whether you can just dive right in. So we have plenty of things for you to cuddle up with this weekend. Thanks so much for taking the time, ladies. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be back at the same time next week.
Cool.